Good day, everybody! It's Calxiyn and Hunter here, and if you guys enjoy this video, remember to subscribe, become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, and follow us over on social media. So today we are making a prediction about the RWBY post-credits scene, because we have really no idea what's going to happen next in the next fucking episode, so we're
Marvel is everywhere, and everyone's doing post-credit scenes, including RWBY, so we might as well just roll with it this time.
And, I mean, post-credit scenes have never really mattered, though, have they?
I mean, the history of, okay, there's been some interesting stuff. Volume 1, we see, you know, Cinder. That's a pretty big deal. Volume 2, Dream Raven, they're related. You know, that's a pretty big reveal.
I give that one like a 0.5.
Because at the time, no one knew.
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
3, Salem, pretty big deal.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big
that's yeah.
Volume 4, that one really wasn't that important. Volume 5, arguably not terribly important either. Volume 6,
yeah, they just reused Volume 4 as post-credit in this show. So that
I was like, oh, we already did that.
So I have some ideas, okay?
I mean, listen, there was a lot of, you know, there was a lot of crunch in Volume 5. They needed to reuse some animation, if you know what I mean.
Hazel, Emerald, and Mercury.
Yes.
I don't know if they still matter, but they were the last post-credit scene. And here's my idea, and this is totally self-indulgent. Hunter has some better ones, so you guys are gonna have to either skip over my rambling or keep watching, right? I had a dream, okay, that Tyrion...
That the brothers of...
No, that Tyrion came back to Salem's lair, and that Hunter and I were watching a RWBY episode, but for some reason we were watching it in the living room. And basically what happened is that Tyrion poisoned Emerald and made her start making these like terrible hallucinations, and she started making those hallucinations on Mercury, and Mercury was like screaming in pain, and they were both like screaming in pain, and it was like terrible and kind of scary and bad. I guess it was because maybe they were planning on running away, so then Tyrion poisoned... Because here's the thing about Tyrion. Tyrion loves the maximum amount of chaos, right? And so that would be the maximum amount of chaos. Because Crow hallucinated when he was poisoned by Tyrion, right? He was like, she's not coming back, Ty. She's not coming back, right? And so there was all that stuff. And so what if Emerald does the same, but she uses her semblance, and then everything is just pretty bad? That's the first thing. I had another dream, okay? Still Emerald and Mercury stuff here, is that they were running away, right? Tyrion was chasing after them, and then Hazel was like, I'll stop him, go. And then they were like, but what about you, Dad? And they were like, go. And like the idea was like you two can be like the brother and sister, like, because I lost my sister, you guys can have the life that we could have had if she didn't get killed by Ozpin. I'll protect, like, I will sacrifice my life so you two can live. So that was my 2 ideas. So all my ideas are back to sort of Emerald and Mercury fucking right off, and maybe running away to Vacuo, because that's kind of where I assume Emerald may be from, or maybe she's not from Vacuo. I don't know. We don't know. So yeah, those are sort of the post-credit scenes I have in mind. I feel like it'll really depend on what happens in the next episode, but just because the other ones, like when you think about, say for example, that Hazel and Salem one, like Salem was making the Grimm army, you know, if you don't want something done right? So it sort of depends, like, will the Grimm army come to Atlas? Like, what's gonna happen in the last episode? That'll lead to the post-credit scene. But I also have, and I think Hunter will be on board with this, I mean, I think Hunter has it and I adopted it, right? Is if Raven will be like, knock, knock, bitch, looks like you guys need some help, am I right? You know what I mean? And that Raven will come to Atlas in the post-credit scene, and Tai Yang. We had this idea for so long since they were, like, caught fucking or whatever in the last, they were not caught fucking.
He was like, when he got interrupted while he was tending to his sunflowers.
And then,
is this gardening? Is that what gardening? Playing a drum.
And so I was like, you know, it would be interesting if Raven and Ty reconciled, and they were just like, we don't want our children to die in this war. You're coming home right now, this instant, young lady. Like, we had an idea that they would, like, basically co-parent, team up, and try to, like, bring Team RWBY and Co back home. And that could replace some of the damage, you know what I mean? Like, if Raven is, that could balance the odds, basically. Like, having Raven as a maiden and then having Tai Yang also fight, because we are running out of responsible adults to fight against Salem, so they could replenish the adult supply.
This is how I imagine it, right? It's just an empty street, the Grimm are charging in the background, the wind blows, there's fire, it's miserable. Raven's portal. They step out, they look around, Raven looks at the camera, lights up a cigarette. Shit. Cut to black. That's how I imagine it.
What if she also looks up the wanted poster for the kids, and that's when she goes, shit? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a great. Let Raven say fuck. Don't give her a fuck. Give her like a motherfuck. Cut to black.
Yeah.
That was kind of one of my generic, because I didn't know how they would do it. I think that's a good idea. I also have another kind of generic idea of it's Hazel, Emerald, and Mercury escaping in some capacity.
Yeah, so that was my idea, was the escape, and then Tyrion hunts them down, and then Hazel dies, like, trying to protect them.
I don't know about that other stuff, but them escaping, I think, is an option.
Okay.
Here are, I think,
I would at least like them escaping.
These are my two that I think have a lot of weight. I'll go with this one with Neo, because I mentioned this in the previous Neo video, is that I believe Neo will take through various means, and if you want to find out how, it's pretty good. Watch that video about the Neo fight. Listen, I can shill too. She takes the Relic of Knowledge, she goes out, post-credit scene, she rubs it, Jin comes out. This is either when we get Neo to say her first words, and her first words are, "What happened to Roman?" That would be pretty badass. Cut to black. And we're like, oh, she's gonna find out that it wasn't actually RWBY that killed Roman, it was the Grimm, and by extension Salem and Cinder, and then she's gonna be pissed and she's going after Cinder. Or, I think this is less punchy, but it could, like, Jin could be like, you don't talk much. Well, it's okay. I know what you want, and then it cuts, and she's looking at Roman again.
Whoa, I have an idea!
But we see Roman kind of in the foreground, and he's blurry, and we know he's Roman, but we don't quite see him, you know, and they're on the bridge.
I have a good idea.
What's your idea?
So,
based off of
she
this.
rubs off
Ma'am, in this Christian YouTube channel.
She rubs the lamp.
Yes.
Jin comes out,
yes.
And she's like, so what is your question, dear, or whatever the fuck she says. And then Neo turns into Roman instead of saying it.
Oh,
and so she
that's
turns into him, and then that's how she communicates it to Jin.
I see.
And that's how Jin would know.
I feel like
so instead of her
okay.
speaking and all that stuff, like, I think that would be interesting if she turned, because she's turned into people to ask about them before, like she did RWBY, so she could
that would be some good planting
Roman,
payoff,
right?
Kinda.
Yeah! Good for me.
That's some good shit.
Yeah.
So that's my number. I think that's the most reasonable. Here's my number 2. Okay, so there's a couple moving pieces to this.
Sure.
This could be a theory unto
Imagine
itself.
it's none of these things. Oh, wait. One more thing, just quickly. We don't know what happened to Watts. What if we see Watts crawling out of the lava, or that he's not dead?
You know what? That seems like the most likely one, Watts.
Yeah.
But I like this one better.
Okay,
I like Neo better, and I like that one
because
better.
out of everything,
yes,
that's the only
that's
thing.
Probably,
like, they left Watts' death ambiguous.
Likely. Yeah.
I feel like that what they'll do is that we'll be looking on somewhere, and then we'll just see Watts' hand with his rings or something like that. We'll see that Watts is actually alive.
Part of me's like, that's lame.
Yeah, I mean, all of them are lame, so, you know.
They all haven't been lame. Some of them have been gut
saying.
punches. Like, Salem was a gut punch, Raven was a gut punch.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but go ahead.
So, here's the idea. Right? It used to be Salem did not have veins in her face.
Yeah.
After a certain point, she wants to hunt silver-eyed warriors.
Right.
I believe that Summer went out, attacked, they had a confrontation, and then she has veins on her face.
Yeah.
I think that she used her silver eyes on Salem, and that's how she got that scarring and those veins.
Yeah.
But similar to an idea that you had, I don't believe Summer Rose is dead. Potentially, Salem wants to understand it. So the post-credit scene, she wants to, like, understand and experiment on Silver Eyes. She wants to learn.
Because that was my whole theory. Was
deconstruct.
That
you want to know the thing that can kill you.
In order to sort of experiment, and that's why she wants RWBY alive. Basically, my idea was, right, in between Maria and RWBY, something changed where she wants to capture Silver-Eyed Warriors. And so what if, because they already have the Summer model, they already made it. So what if it's like, we go to Salem, like Salem's walking in the dungeon or something like that?
No, don't steal my thunder, baby. So yeah, so it makes sense that you want to study the thing that can hurt you. So this is how I imagine. It's low, right?
Okay,
it's on the ground of like the purple castle. You see like Salem's feet glide along. It crawls up. I don't know if Salem's gonna be here, or we either go with Salem as she's walking up to a thing. It moves up from her sliding fleet to her face, and then it goes to look at her face, and she's looking at something, and we see it's a glow, right? And Salem has some kind of line of like, your daughter was a pest, well, I'll get rid of her as well. And then it cuts to, and it's in a crystal, one of those dark purple crystals. It's Summer Rose frozen. Those dark crystals, and then cut to black.
What if instead?
Yes.
Salem walks in, sort of the same thing, like Summer's in chains, like this sort of thing. She looks up and she's disheveled, and
does she? What if she doesn't have eyes? That would be good.
Salem says something like, fuck. Like, I just spoke with your daughter. She'll be joining you very soon. Like, something like that.
Yeah, a similar kind of line. Where so that's two gut punches, because they've been talking about Summer Rose a lot.
Yeah.
And whether or not, like, I'm okay if she's dead, and we don't see her again.
I don't think she's dead anymore. I guarantee
but part of
she's
like,
not dead anymore.
Crow talked about it, Salem talked about it. I think they're setting something up here, and I think that something could be revealed that she is in some capacity still alive.
I see Watts.
In
Summer,
order of likeliness.
Yeah. Watts, Summer, Neo, HazelEmeraldMercury escaping, like the dreams that I had. That's my sort of order. Because Mercury and Hazel have not been relevant for a minute, so.
I think in likelihood, it's gonna be probably Watts and Raven one. I feel
I forgot about the Raven one.
About even, because they're not. Even Raven, I feel like, because Watts still being around isn't too big of a deal.
Yeah.
But, like, Raven back of the game is, I think, a bigger deal.
Right.
Especially for it means for, like, character relations.
Right.
So I don't know which one I think is necessarily better, but I imagine them about equal.
Sure.
Then I'm thinking Neo.
Okay.
Then I'm thinking Summer Rose in the dungeon. Then I'm thinking just kind of generic Emerald Mercury escaping.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot about Raven.
That's how I feel in the likelihood.
To be honest, Raven is such a wild card, because I'm like, do they even fucking care? I don't know.
Is she like, what? Because if she shows up, it could be like, well, I think it would be really funny if Taiyang and them are showing up. Maybe Taiyang and Raven get to, like, I don't know.
If they got back together.
Oh my god, could you imagine? I mean, oh god, do I want that?
Yeah, why not?
Maybe I want it.
See,
Anyways.
Yang lost one mom, but now she has another.
Maybe it's just like, I haven't always been a great mother to you. When, like, in Volume... Because we think that in Volume 8, shit's going to go, like, terrible. Atlas is going to crumble. The Grimm are falling.
Comic, which we'll do during the hiatus, by the way, that Raven yells at Ruby when she's turned into a bird. What if we just see a bird in the post-credit scene and the bird goes fuck? What if the bird goes fuck and it's Raven?
It's just a desiccated... A bird lands on a
lamppost or something? And
I think realistically, a bird might land on a lamppost, look at, like, the wanted poster and, like, twitch its ears, like, twitch its head, and then cut to black of us being like, oh shit. That's Raven.
Let Raven say fuck.
Let Raven say fuck. Anyway. If anyone's allowed to say fucking Ruby, it needs to be Raven.
What a good video, guys. What a good video.
I think these are all pretty good. Regardless of what they're... Imagine if they did 5.
All 5 of them.
And our 7th anniversary, here's 7 different post-credit scenes.
Oh,
it's kind of like the last Lord of the Rings movie where they keep on cutting to white, and you're like, is that the end?
the end of Kingdom Hearts. Like, there's everyone at Disney Castle, everyone at Land of Departure, everyone at Destiny Island, like all that stuff. Anyway.
Yes. Whether or not they come true, maybe one of them will, maybe none of them will. I think they'll all be good.
I feel like in hindsight, we're gonna be like, damn, why didn't we think of that? Like, if it was one of them that we...
Part of me, you could even... Because, like, some stuff that happens near the end of a volume feels kind of post-credity.
Yeah. Even
if it isn't actually post-credits, you know? Like, there's that scene at the end of 4 where Watts shows up to Lionheart. Yeah. That could have been a post-credit scene. So arguably the Neo thing could happen, but it's not the post-credit thing.
I mean, that's why we made a Neo video separate.
Regardless of whether or not it happens, it's at least pretty good.
But yeah,
at least pretty
good. You guys enjoyed. This was fun. We will see you guys later. Bye.